So in the last class, I have been discussed about the sampling theorem. Okay. So if you look to this slide, then in the sampling theorem, we have already studied that what is sampling theorem for the low pass signals, what is the sampling theorem for the band pass signals, then what are the various types of sampling. There we have seen that how can we generate the instantaneous sampling, regenerate the original message signal from the instantaneous sampling. Then another process we have considered as a natural sampling. We have seen the advantage of the natural sampling over the instantaneous sampling. How can we generate and how can we recover original message signals? And we have studied. And at the last, we have studied about the flat top sampling, where we have seen that how can we generate the flat top sampling, how can we reconstruct, what is the main disadvantage of having the like aperture distortion effect in this your flat top sampling, then how can we remove that with the help of equalizer and other conditions we have studied. Now I'm going to discuss about the pulse code modulation. If you look to the this one syllabus, I want to actually go to the syllabus part. Then you can see introductions of the digital communication system I have discussed, sampling processes I have discussed, sampling theorems for low pass and band pass signals I have discussed, type of sampling. Up to here I have discussed. Now you can see the next this one topic what is written over here is the quantization of the signal, and then the compounding. Actually, quantization and compounding both are the quantization only, and one is called as uniform quantization. So in this topic, we'll be studying about the uniform quantizations, and compounding is called as non-uniform quantizations. So both this topic will be covered in the quantizations topic itself. And now you can see the differential encoding schemes like NRZ, multi-level binary, biphase, differential Manchester. These things we need to cover. Then we need to study about the pulse code modulations. But after studying this sampling theorem, I'm directly moving to the pulse code modulations because I want to show you that pulse code modulation is nothing but the combination of three processes, where the first process is sampling process, and second one is the quantization of the signals, and the third one is the encoding. So first I will discuss about this, then I will come to the quantization because we have already discussed about the sampling. Then we will go for the different encoding schemes. So with that, this pulse code modulations will also be completed. Then only this topic will be having in the module 1, that is the differential pulse code modulations, delta modulations, adaptive delta modulations, and noises. And in fact, the noises also, we will be actually considering the effect of the noises while discussing the pulse code modulation itself, and while discussing about the delta modulation. There also we will be studying about the noise. Okay. So by this way, we will be moving throughout this module 1. So now coming to the pulse code modulations basic block diagram, as you can see, we have the source of continuous time signals. Okay, because it is ultimately, it does nothing. It simply converts the analog signals to the equivalent digital signals. So you can see the output of this pulse code modulations, what we have, that is PCM signals applied to the channel input, that is the PCM signals output. That is the PCM signal output, which is applied to the next channel input for the transmission. So this PCM signals output is nothing but the digital in nature. And this source of the continuous time message, it is nothing but the analog in nature. Okay. Now the rest of the blocks are being used just to convert these analog signals to the equivalent digital signals. So the first step is we have used the low pass filter. So although whether you can mention in the block diagram the use of low pass filter or not, it is not actually mandatory. But these three blocks are mandatory. This low pass filter is basically used just to restrict the band of the frequency of these message signals to the maximum limited frequency of say FM. If some, because of some noise and other effects, some band of the frequency of this input source is increased, in that case, this low pass filter simply restricts the band of the frequency because it actually eliminates the higher basic components which arises due to noise. Now you can see the first block is sampler. So sampling mainly flat top sampling is used, and in fact we have studied all about the theorems related to the sampling. Okay. Now the second block is the quantization. Okay. So now we will see that what is quantizer, what are the various types of quantizer, how can we perform the quantizations operations, and then how can we say that after quantizations and encoding will be able to convert the sample signals to the equivalent digital signals. Okay. Now, this signal PCM is transmitted. So not earlier, nowadays also, the telephone communications like what you are using in the PNT. Okay, that is the handset type of communications. Like in the BIT also, you might be calling to somewhere in the exchange, and then the exchange used to transfer the call to the another locations. That is done with the help of signals. So all this such type of communication is done with the pulse code modulation without any modulation. In fact, this is the PCM simply converts the analog signals to digital signal. So there is no such type of the process involved where we actually send these digital signals using the high frequency carrier signals. So earlier also I told you that in fact this PCM is not, in a strict sense, this PCM is not the modulator. It does not do the job of the modulations like that. It changes some characteristics of the high frequency carrier signals over which we transmit this continuous time message signals. No, it is not like that. It simply converts the analog signals to the equivalent digital signals. But this also we can use for the communications, like as the example I told you, it is used to transmit the wire signal over the PNT, baseline telephone communication system. But since this does not have the high frequency, so we cannot transmit it over the longer distance. So during the transmission, suppose you want to transmit it over the longer distance, then for that we use the regenerative repeaters in the transmission path. That's why you can see the figure number A shows you the transmitter part, and the figure number B is the transmission path. So what happens was this PCM signal is transmitted. After traveling over certain distance, it gets affected by the noise and the amplitude. And because most of the noise are additive in nature, which affects on the amplitude of the digital data, transmitted digital data. Suppose we represented by the rectangular pulse simply. One is represented by plus B volt and zero is represented by say minus B volt. And because of that noise, this pulse becomes distorted after traveling over the certain distance in the channel. So for that, we need to, if you want to transmit that signal, that data over the long distance, then we need to use the regenerative repeaters. The main job of this regenerative repeater is to just refine the data. Just it is simply acting as a conditioner. That is, it receives the digital data, it tries to remove the noises, effect of any additive noise in that digital data. It amplifies it because after traveling over certain distance, the power may become low. So further it amplifies it, and then again it transmits. So after traveling certain distance, it may be required that depending upon the distance, this numbers of regenerative repeaters are being used to transmit the PCM signals. Now, once it is transmitted and gets received by the receivers, then the reverse process of the transmitter is being used. That is, here again we can use the regeneration circuit just before the receivers to exactly get the error-free PCM signals, receive the error-free PCM signals. And then since here is the encoder, so reverse process of that is being used for the decoder, and here reconstruction filter. That is the signals is just passes through the passing through the low pass filter, and with the help of this reconstruction filter, we will be able to regenerate our original continuous message signals. Okay, so this is the basic elements of the PCM system block diagram. So as you can see in the transmitter part, we use the sampler, and then in the second part we use the quantizer. Okay. So now the quantizer we are going to study. That is what is the quantization process, how many types of quantizations are there, and then what is the encoder. Then next topic we'll be studying about the encoder. So our next topic is the quantization. Okay. As we all know that the quantization is the second step of converting the analog signals to the digital signals. So after taking the sample signal, after taking the sample value for the analog signals, what we do in the quantization, don't worry, in this slide I have not shown, but in the next slide it will be shown to you. That is, in quantizations what we do, the whole signal whole sample signals. Is suppose one sample signals you take at TS, another you have taken at 2 TS, another you have taken at 3 TS, 4 TS, like and so on. So, and the sample one what you have taken at TS that may different with the 2 TS, that may different with the 3 TS, although it will differ by the little amount, but it differs. And sometimes we exactly, in the case of PCM, sometimes we find that because this analog signals does not vary very rapidly, most of the analog signals, what we in the bias, in the case of bias signals, it does not vary. The amplitude does not vary with a large amount. So what happens? So it may be possible that the sample what we have taken at say 3 TS, the 4 TS sample is also very close to that of the 3 TS sample value itself. So whole sample, suppose at one you are taking at 1 volt, another sample you have taken which is corresponding to 2 volt, another you have taken which is corresponding to 2.3 volt, another you have taken 2.5 volt. Then in the case of sinusoidal signals, it will again start decreasing. Now, what happens in the quantizations? Whole dynamic range of the signal is divided into the various quantization level. Like you can simply understand that whole, like suppose sinusoidal signals we have. The sinusoidal, for that sinusoidal signals we have taken the sample at TS, 2 TS, 3 TS, 4 TS, and so on. So the whole sinusoidal signal, starting from the minus MP to MP, whole dynamic range of the signal is divided into the various quantizations level. And then each sample value is approximated to the nearby quantizations level. This process is called as quantization. So then question arises that how can we approximate the each sample value to the nearby quantizations level? So because of that, we have actually these two graphs. Okay, these two graphs actually tells us that how can we actually approximate it. So coming to the type of quantizations, one is called as uniform quantization, another is called as non-uniform quantization. In the basic process of the quantizations, we simply divide the whole dynamic range of the signals over the various quantization steps. And in the next step, we simply approximate that sample value to the one of the quantizations level. Okay. So, and one of the quantizations level, we simply approximate it. Then this process is called as quantization process. And this is of two types. One is the uniform quantization, another is the non-uniform quantization. In uniform quantizations, we used to take the step size constant, step size delta constant. And in the non-uniform quantizations, the step size is different. Okay, that step size may not be constant throughout. It is in fact different at each sample value. So this non-uniform quantization is called as compounding that we will study. This compounding consists of two processes. One is the compressor, another is the expander. So that we will study after studying the uniform quantization. And this uniform quantization is of two types. One is the mid-rate type, another is the mid-rise type. So first we will discuss about the mid-rate type of uniform quantizations. Then we will study about the mid-rise type of uniform quantizations. Then we will go for the compounding that is called as non-uniform quantization. As I told you, this mid-rate and mid-rise both are the types of uniform quantizations. That is, the step size remain constant throughout the quantizations. Whereas in non-uniform quantizations, we will see later on that our step size does not remain constant. Okay. So so what is the mid-rate type of quantizations and what is the mid-rise type of quantizations? Now I'm going to discuss. Okay. Meanwhile, if you have any doubt, please ask me. So, like you can see, this is the mid-rate type of quantizations, uniform quantization, and this one is the mid-rise type of uniform quantization. Okay. So if you talk about the mid-rate type of uniform quantizations, then you can see, you can look to this staircase functions, right? So what we do, this where the transitions from the lower level to the higher level is going, this region we call it as trade, and the flat region, horizontal flat region, we call it as rise. Okay. So when the trade of this graph falls at the origin, then we call it as mid-rate type quantization. That is, you can see while transitions from the lower to the higher end, the middle of that one is falling to the origin. So we call it as mid-rate type of quantization. Now, in the first come to this graph. Actually, this the arrow what I have shown over here. The arrow is called as trade portion of this curve, and this is the rise from the lower level to the higher level. Sorry for the uh, actually giving you the different things. Actually, this horizontal portion is called as trade, and the rise from the one of the level to the another level is called as rise portion of this graph. So if the horizontal portion that is called as trade, if the trade is at the middle of the trade, if the middle of the trade is at the origin of this graph, then we call it as mid trade type of quantization. So you can see in this graph, this trade portion middle is falling at the origin. So we call it as mid trade type of quantization. Whereas in the lower figure, you can see the rise portion, mid of the rise portion is falling at the origin of this graph. So we call it as mid-rise type of quantization. Okay. So now first coming to the mid-trade. So you can see the trade portion, the middle of that is the origin of this graph. So we call it as mid-trade type of quantizations. And in this case, the meaning is that you can understand the basic concept. Okay. So you can see this delta, what we have written over here is the step size. As I told you, that whole analog signal is divided into the various quantizations level, and each quantizations level is given by the delta, by the gap delta, which is called as step size. Okay, so you can see if the input level in the mid-rate type of quantization, if input level is in between 0 to delta by 2, then the output of the quantizations level is approximated at the 0. Is approximated at the 0. If the input level is in between delta by 2 to delta, this one corresponds to delta. So if input level is in between delta by 2 to delta, then output of that quantizer, that is what I want to say you, that is first we have taken the sample signal, then the sample signal is quantized, that is it is divided into the various quantizations level equally. It is a uniform quantization, then it is equally divided. The quantization steps are the division. I will show you with some examples, then it will be more clear. So we simply divide equally throughout the analog signals, and then that sample value is approximated either at the lower level or at the higher level of the quantizer. So how it is approximated, that is decided by whether you are using the mid-rate type of quantizer or mid-rise type of quantizer. So if you are using the mid-rate type of quantizer, then if the input level, that is, if the sampled value is in between 0 to half of that step size, then the output level is approximated to the 0. And if the input level is more than the half of that step size to the and less than to that of the next level, then the output of the quantizer is approximated by the next step, that is at the delta. Similar in between delta to 3 delta by 2, then output again remain at the delta itself. But if it is in between 3 delta by 2 to 2 delta, then output becomes 2 delta. That is the output of the quantizer sector to be 2 delta. This type of quantization is called as mid-rate type of quantization. Whereas in the mid-rise type of quantizations, where the rise portions of this graph falling is passing through the origin of this particular characteristics, so we call it as mid-rise type of quantizer. And in the mid-rise type of quantizer, you can see if the input level is in between 0 to delta, then it is approximated by the delta by 2. And if the input level is in between delta to 2 delta, then it is approximated by 3 delta by 2. If 2 delta by 2 delta to 3 delta, then it is approximated by 5 delta by 2, and so on. So such type of quantizer is known as mid-rise type of quantizer. Now, So because of that, okay, some definitely some error will arise. So actually, I will again come to later on. I will again come to this graph and this slide also. First, let me know you the basic concept of the quantization. That is what is how we perform the quantization. That it will be fair for you to understand these two, this slide as well as this slide. So I'm going to the next slide first, then I will come back to these two slides so that you can quickly understand the basic concept. Okay, now you can see this is the basic process of quantization. So you can see, you may find the dotted portion. So this dotted portion is nothing but the sampled signal input, which is given to the quantizer. This is the sample signal because in the first step we obtain the sampling. Okay, so this the dotted one you can see is the sample signal. Sample signal. Okay, dotted one is the sample signal. Like if you take the sampling at this point, then this will be the value. If you take the sampling of the signal at this point, then this will be the value. If you take the sampling, this one is the x-axis, that is t-axis, and this one is the y-axis. And origin of the whole graph is we have taken over here. Okay. Now, the input signal, the sample what we have taken, our analog signal is such that the first it goes to the negative side and then it goes to the positive side. So what happens? This dotted one you can say, you can consider it as a sampled value. So in the quantizations, what we do, the whole sample signal, whole dynamic range is first divided into the various quantization is first divided into the various quantizations level. Like this is the first level, you can say, and you can say this is the first level, this is the second level, third level, fourth level, fifth level, sixth level, and you can see. So various we divide into the various quantizations level, and each the step size of each quantization level, which is given by delta, remain constant. That's why we call it as uniform quantization. Okay. So here it is delta step size, and here also. So delta if we measure from this origin, so here to here delta. So this will be 2 delta, this will be 3 delta, this will be 4 delta. So you can see after considering the 4 delta, we are able to cover the whole analog sample signal. Now, similarly, we need to go in the negative directions, minus delta, minus 2 delta, minus 3 delta, minus 4 delta. And in this type of quantizations, the step size remain constant. So we call it as uniform quantizer. Now, in the uniform quantizer, there are two types. One is the mid-rate, another is the mid-rise. So let us see that which type of quantizations, which type of theory we have used in this while in the quantizations. So what happens? So if this one is 0 to say minus delta, so this step will be nothing but delta by 2, minus delta by 2. So what happens if we take this, if the signal falls in between 0 to minus delta by 2, or in between 0 to delta, if the signal falls in between 0 to minus delta, then in the mid-rise type of quantizer, we simply approximate it by the minus delta by 2. Like in the first slide, you can see the first slide you can see that in the mid-rise type, this one is the mid-rise type. If the input is in between 0 to delta, then output is approximated at delta by 2. So if input here you can see is in between from here to here, our input, that is the sample signal, is in between 0 to delta. So it is approximated by minus delta by 2. This is the quantization. This approximate, that is first we divide into the various quantizations level, and each sample value is approximated to any one of the quantizations level or in between, depending upon the definition of that type of quantizer. So here the mid-rise type of quantizations we have used just to let you know the basic processes of the quantization. So here mid-rise type of quantization theory is used. That is, once the input signal is 0 to minus delta or 0 to delta, the output is approximated by minus delta by 2. Or if it is in between 0 to delta, then output is approximated by delta by 2. So the output is approximated by minus delta by 2. Now, again, you can see from here to here, our input is in between minus delta to minus 2 delta. So the output is approximated, the output of the quantizer. Output of the quantizer is approximated to minus 3 delta by 2. Now you can see from here to here, the input is, that is the sample value, is in between -2 delta to 3 delta. So the output is approximated to -5 delta by 2. Again, since the input increases, so once the input becomes in between -2 delta to minus delta, then output as usual is approximated to -3 delta by 2. Similarly, the process goes away. Now, let us see some concept in the past two directions. That is, once the input is in between 0 to delta, then the whole sample value is approximated to the delta by 2. Similarly, from delta to delta, the quantization level becomes P delta by 2. So this actually satisfies the basic definition of the mid-rise type of quantizer. So this is the mid-rise type of quantizer. It would have been, if we would have been used the mid-rate type of quantization, in that case, we need to follow these definitions. That is, once the input is in between 0 to delta by 2, the output remain at the 0. But if the input becomes delta by 2 to delta, then the output will be approximated to the delta. So in that case, that if input, like from here to here, the input is in between 0 to delta by 2, then we would have approximated it like this, here to here. But once the input becomes more than delta by 2 to delta, we need to approximate it to the delta. So it would have been like that. So that becomes the mid-rate type of quantizers. So just by knowing the basic definitions, you can say whether you have used the mid-rise type of quantizations or mid-rate type. So this is the quantizations. Now, in the next step, what we do, each quantizations level is assigned by certain binary digit, So what is that? Suppose from here to here, suppose there are total 8 levels. That is, we have used the 8 quantizations level. Then 2 to the power 3 equals to 8. Since we want to actually assign the binary number to each quantizations level. So 2 to the power 3 equals to 8 means we need to take the 3 bits. 3 bits we need to take to define each quantizations level. Okay. So corresponding to that, it can vary from 0, 0, 0 to 1, 1, 1. So what we do, like this signal. Like suppose we do not have here, this quantization level is not used. So we can start from here. So suppose this level is represented by 0, 0, 0. Suppose this level is represented by 1, 0, 0. Suppose this level is represented by 0, 1, 0. Suppose this level is represented by this level is 2, 3, 0, 1, 1. Then 1, 0, 0. Then 1, 0, 1. Then 1, 1, 1. So what we have done, that is just by using the 3 numbers of digital binary bits, we are able to represent each quantization level. Then why we are doing that? Then what will happen? That we say that this sample value is quantized at this level, and this level is represented by this binary number. So this level is transmitted by the binary number 0, 1, 0. Similarly, the next sample value is quantized at this particular level, which is assigned to this binary number. So it is transmitted by 0, 0, 1. Okay. So then this sample value is transmitted by this, so it is approximated by 0, 0, 0. So this is how you can see we are able to convert the analog signals to the digital binary data. But since this one is the representations, okay. So this process is called as encoding. So the earlier we have taken the sample, then we have taken the quantizations, then we have encoded it. So overall, we are able to convert the analog signals to the equivalent digital signals. And this encoding, finally, we cannot transmit this 10, 10, 10. So we need to represent this into the electrical waveform. Electrical waveform we need to represent. So like suppose we have 0. So if 0 is represented by 0 volt, 1 is represented by plus V volt, 0 is represented by 0 volt, 0 is represented by 0 volt, 0 is represented by 0 volt, then 1 is represented by plus 1 volt. Depending upon that which type of encoding method you have used, that we will study various types of encoding method. So we can represent this binary data to the electrical equivalent waveform, and this waveform we can transmit. So this is how we can convert the analog signals to the equivalent digital signals through the process of PCM. pulse code modulus. So this is the overall step. Now to understand it with more clarity, I have again drawn. I have drawn the another figures like this analog signals we have taken to give you the more sound knowledge, so that you actually have the all the concept. Okay, so another example also I've taken to for more clarifications, get the more clarity, that this analog signal we have taken, and you can see for this analog signals our first step is the sampling. So we have taken, say we have taken the sample value of this analog signal, say at this point, so say at this point, at this point, at this point, we have taken the sample value. Okay, now whole samples, whole range of the signals now. So the sampling process gets completed. Now the second process is the quantizations. So we have taken the various steps. We have divided the whole sample signals to the various quantizations level. Okay, we divided into the various quantizations level, and you can see the step size of each quantizations level remain constant. That's why it is called as uniform quantizer. The step size remain constant. That's why it is called as uniform quantization. Now, so after assigning to each quantizations level, what we have done over here, that is each quantizations level is assigned with certain binary number, like suppose 0. So this is 0, 0, 0. 1. So it is represented by 0, 0, 1. 2, 0, 1, 0. 3, 0, 1, 1. 4, 1, 0, 0. 5, 1, 0, 1. 6, 1, 1, 0. 7, 1. So each quantization level we have assigned to the binary number. Now, suppose we have taken this sample value. Okay. So what is the value of this sample value? The value of this one is 0 is over here, 1 is over here. The value of this sample value is 1.3. Now consider this value of this sample value. So value of this sample value we have is nothing but 3.6. Similarly, the value of this sample value is 2.3. The value of this sample value is 0.7. Value of this sample value is minus 0.7. The value of this one is minus 2.4, minus 3.4. Now you can see this sample value falls in this region. That is, it is approximated by 1.3 is approximated by this. That is, once the input level is in between 0 to delta by 2, we approximate it by the delta by 2, which is called as mid-rise type of quantizations. We have approximated it by, after the quantizations, we have approximated it by 1 by 5. We have approximated by 3 by 5, 2 by 5, because we ultimately we need to approximate to the quantizations level. Because until unless we will not approximate it with the quantizations level, we cannot convert it into the equivalent digital data. Because each quantizations level itself is represented by the binary number. Okay. So we have approximated with this level, which is given by 1.5. Similarly, this 3.6 is approximated to the lower level, which is given by 3.5. 3.6 is approximated by the 3.5. Similarly, 2.3 is approximated by the 2.5, 0.7, 0.5, and so on. Now you can see, now since this sample data we have represented by 1.5, and 1.5 is represented by 101. It is represented by the code number 5, which is given by 101. Similarly, 3.7 is represented by code number 7, and it is given by 111. It is given by 111. And so on. Similarly, for other sample data. Now this 101 is the binary representations. We cannot transmit it directly, so we need to represent it into the pulse form, which is the electrical wave form, which we can transmit it. So 1 is represented by plus V volt, 0 is represented by 0 volt, 1 is represented by plus V volt, and so on. So this is how we are able to convert the analog signals to the equivalent digital signals. So this is nothing but our digital signal. This is nothing but our digital signal. So we are able to convert. Now, if you move to the previous two slides, then it will be more clear for you to understand. That is, now it is clear that what we actually do in the case of mid-rise type of quantizations and mid-rate type of quantization. Okay. So in the mid-rise type of quantizations, as I told you, once the input is in between 0 to delta, we simply approximate it by delta by 2. Whereas in mid-rate type of quantizations, when the input is in between 0 to delta by 2, we approximate it by 0 level, output is 0. Otherwise, if we a zero level, zero quantization level. If the input is in between delta by 2 to delta, we approximate it by the delta. We approximate at the delta quantization level. Now, because of this quantization process and because of this approximations, because as you can see, as in this graph, we have seen that actual sample value is what? Actual sample value is 1.3, whereas we have approximated in the quantization process, we have approximated it 1/5. In this sample, for this sample value also, you can see the actual sample value is 3.6, whereas we have approximated it by 3.5. So it means that our actual value is 3.6, but we have approximated it to the 3.5. So because of that approximation, there is an error. There is an error. And this error is called as quantization error. This error is called as quantization error. And because of this, if we obtain the mean square value of this quantization error, it is called as quantization noise. Quantization noise. That's why we need to study the effect of the noise in the PCM. That's why, because of this only, we need to study the effect of the quantization noise in the PCM. So don't worry, we will be studying. So then question arises that what will be the type, what will be the nature of this quantization error? Okay. Now coming to the previous graph only. So if we consider this mid-rate type of quantizations, then you can see if the our input is 0 to in between 0 to delta by 2, then our output is 0. So this quantization error we can define it by the difference of the output of the quantizer minus the input of the quantizer. So this one is the quantizer output and this one is the quantizer input. So the quantizer input is nothing but our sample signal. So this sample signal is represented by x and ts. Like suppose the xt is our original analog signals. So if you take the sample of this xt at n equals to 1 at ts, 2 ts, 3 ts, n ts, so it is called as sample signal. Now, if this sample signal is given input to that of the quantizer, whose output is given by x, q, and ts, so definitely the difference of the output of the quantizer to that of the input sample value is nothing but the quantization error. And you can see here also, that is our input signal. Once the input signal is in between 0 to delta by 2, whether it is delta by 4, delta by 8, but it will be in between 0 to delta by 2 only. But output is always kept as 0. So because of this approximation, the quantization error appears. And the nature of that quantization error for the case of mid-rate type of quantization is nothing but this. Like if our input, this is the input axis, if our input is in delta by 2, then output is how much? Output is 0. So the quantization error, this output is 0 and input is in between 0 to delta by 2. So once the input will increase, this quantization error will increase in the negative direction. So it is increasing in the negative direction in the linear way. And at delta, when the input level is delta by 2, we approximate it by the delta. So the quantization error will be delta minus delta by 2, which is given by delta by 2. So ultimately, it shifted to the level of delta by 2. Okay, the same process repeated now. So you can see the maximum quantization error varies in between plus delta by 2 minus delta by 2 in the mid-rate type of quantizer. Whereas in mid-rise type of quantizer, this quantization error we can understand in the similar way as we have already studied about the mid-rate type of quantizer. And in this case also, our maximum quantization error varies in between minus delta by 2 delta by 2. That is, the maximum quantization error in both the cases remains same, which is given by delta by 2 or minus delta by 2. Or we can say, we simply write it as mod of delta by 2 is the maximum quantization error. And in this case also, you can see, you can understand in the similar way, this graph, that is once our input is in between 0 to delta, our output is approximated by delta by 2. So since the quantization error is output of the quantizer minus the input, so the output is delta by 2, which remains constant, and input increases from 0 to delta. So once our input will be in between 0 to delta by 2, this factor will be positive. So the once our input is in between 0 to delta by 2, this value will be positive. And but once our input goes more than delta by 2, the quantization error becomes negative. What will happen? Input, once the input will be 0, our maximum quantization error will be delta by 2. And once our input becomes delta, in that case also, the quantization error becomes minus delta by 2. That's why the quantization error in this case also varies in between delta by 2 to minus delta by 2. And because of this, we will be calculating the effect of the quantization error in the quantization noise. Because of this quantization error, if we obtain the mean square value, mean square value, mean square value, it is called as quantization noise NQ. Then question arises, how can we calculate the mean square value of that? So we know that mean square value is nothing but the expected value of this. If the quantization error is represented by E, then expected value you have already studied in the previous semester. The expected value of that quantization error is nothing but the mean square value. So, but to calculate this expected value, because we know that expected value of any functions, say x, expected value of x is nothing but x into fxx dx. So we must know the probability density function of that random variable, because once the effect of the noise comes, so we do not know the basic properties of the noise, because noise is random in nature. So ultimately, the random theories what we have studied, we have to use that one only to calculate the effect of the quantization, to calculate the mean square value of the quantization error, that is known as the quantization noise. Okay, so it has been seen. So you can see over here, that here since this quantization error, we can assume it as a small. So because of that, it has been seen that the probability density function of this one is nothing but the uniformly distributed. So we will assume that quantization error is small and it is uniformly distributed, and we will calculate later on. So मेरा class चल रहा है, थोड़ी देर बात करते हैं. So we will see later on that how can we will see later on that how can we calculate the quantization noise, just by assuming that our probability density function is nothing but uniformly distributed over the interval. That is, we can assume that over the interval of delta by 2, that is, this one is minus delta by 2, this one is delta by 2, and definitely this point will be 1 by delta. And by using this epsilon, we can calculate the mean square value. So later on, we will see that how can we calculate the mean square value of the for the quantization noise, just by assuming that it is having the uniform distribution. But I think you all is very much aware. You all have been already very much actually know about the you have understood the basic concept of quantization and how many types of quantizations are there: mid-trade, mid-rise, and what actually we do in the process of quantization. But these things, that is how can we calculate the quantizations noise, how much the value of that will come, and I want to tell you that value will come out to be del square by 12. This is nothing but the quantization noise in the PCM. Okay. But we will calculate how this value will come out. But here just I want to give you the brief of that because of this quantization error only, the quantization noise comes out. And if you calculate the mean square value of this quantization error, that is called as quantization noise, which is given by, which will come out to be delta square by 12. So that you should keep in mind that in the later on we'll be calculating the quantization noise. So this is the basic steps, basic actually process of the quantization. Now you can see here it is written as, now we are going to study about the transmission bandwidth, but I'm not going to study the transmission bandwidth. First, we will study the non-linear quantizer, which is called as compounding. Okay, which is called as compounding. So I just now I want to give you the basic introductions about the non-uniform quantizer. Then we will go to this topic, that is how much the transmission bandwidth is required in the PCS system. So as I told you that our quantization is of two types. One is the uniform quantizations, where we have seen that throughout our step size remain constant. That's why we call it as uniform quantization. And uniform quantization is of two types: mid-trade and mid-rise. So we have studied the mid-rate, what is mid-rate type and what is mid-rise type. And in fact, the step ahead also we have studied that how after taking the quantizations, we are able to convert the quantized signals to the equivalent digital signals. That also we will study. Although that is the next step of this PCM, that is called as encoder. We have seen that in encoding process, we represent each quantizations level with the equivalent binary data. And then now the things next what we will study that how can we represent. There are numbers of techniques, numbers of methods by which we can represent this binary to the equivalent digital data, equivalent electrical signal form. Like in this case, we have written it with the returns to zero representation. Similarly, we have the not returns to zero, Manchester coding, differential encoding. But some of these techniques are written in our syllabus also, so that we will study in the next step. What we have studied till now, we have studied about the uniform quantizations. Now we are going to study about the non-uniform quantization. That is, what is the non-uniform quantizations? Why we go to the non-uniform quantizations? Why don't we stick on the uniform quantizations only until unless we don't have any advantages of the non-uniform quantizations? So now we are going to study. And if it is a non-uniform quantizations, then what is that and how can we perform the non-uniform quantizations? So now we are going to study about the non-uniform quantization. And this non-uniform quantization is performed with the help of compounding. Okay, and the process is performed by the compounding, and this compounding is nothing but the combination of the two process. That is, one is the compression and another is the expansion. So, what is the compression? What is the expansion? And why do we go for the non-uniform quantization? That I want to let you know. So, so this 1 minute. This compounding is nothing but equal to, we can say, is the compressing and expanding. Okay. So, but I will come to you that what is compressing, why the compressing is required, what is the expander, why the expanding is required, and then why do we call the combination of these two as a compounder? That I will let you know later on. But before that, we should know that why we go for the non-uniform quantization. So I think the time is up. In the next class, first I will discuss about the non-uniform quantizations. In that we will see that what is the need of going through the non-uniform quantizations from the uniform quantizations, and then what is our requirement which does not fulfill by the uniform quantizations. So because of that only we go for the non-uniform quantizations. So what is that and how can we perform this non-uniform quantization? In fact, this non-uniform quantizations we can perform with the help of compounding. And what is the compounding? Compounding is nothing but the compressing and expanding, compression and expanding. So what is the compression? What is the expand? How we compress? How we expand? All these things we will be studying in the next class. So don't worry. In the next class, we will be able to complete this non-uniform quantization. Meanwhile, if you have any doubt, if you have any query, you please ask me. Otherwise, we can stop our discussion here. I have already taken the attendance. Anyone of you, please. If you have any doubt, you please ask me. Otherwise, we can stop our discussion. It has already been 3:24. Are you able to get that? If you have any doubt, you please ask me. Okay. Sangam?
Yes, sir.
Sangam? Kumar Sangam?
Yes, sir.